What's good, folks? It's Esskimo of GetRichRapping.com. This is the first of many podcasts to come. I didn't have a specific plan for this one. If you know me and you know my style, I like to work within a moment. I don't want to sort of presume and start talking about what I think is going to happen next week or what happened last week unless I feel like it has relevance to now, the situation we're in and what we're talking about. But I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to tell you guys a bit more about me, especially if you've been following this movement for a while. I do a lot of videos, I do a lot of blog posts, but they don't leave much opportunity to tell you more about me as a person, in a sense of where I'm from and what kind of life I've led, if that makes sense. I don't want to go into too much detail with it, obviously. When it comes to your personal life, you want to keep some of that, but I can definitely tell you that, well, I'm 25 years old. I'm from a city called Cardiff, which is in Wales. Now, Wales is attached to England, part of the UK. Wales is to England essentially what Canada is to the US. Now, it's the same landmass, but it's a different country. When I was about 11, 12, I got into rapping. I had listened to hip-hop for years before that, but at 11 or 12 I decided that I was going to rap myself. Built up a pretty decent name in my city. I was getting thousands of views on my videos. I was doing pretty well considering how small the city is in comparison to, some of the cities in the States or even closer to home like London. When I was around, say about 19, I'd started a UK grime blog. Now, UK grime is the music of the youth in the UK. It's 140 BPM. It's somewhat similar to trap, but it's a different, different delivery, a different attitude to it. The beats are somewhat similar nowadays, but it's a completely different sound. It is to the UK what hip-hop was to the US when hip-hop first came around. Grime is basically the music of the youth. It's what they do to pass their time, which I guess is what hip-hop was in the beginning. That kind of started, well, I got to a certain point where I was getting like 4,000 views daily. That really taught me how to blog, and that's why GetRichRapping.com is so strong right now, because I've had that previous experience. But I was young and in love and somewhat neglecting the girlfriend I had at the time because I was so focused on building up that brand. By feeding into that instead of just letting her just be pissed off and go do whatever she wanted to do with life, I tried to do both and ended up losing both, which it's definitely a lesson that taught me something. The nugget I got from there is really, it's about you in life. I know we have best friends, we have family, we have partners, we have relationships, but at the end of the day, you've just got to do what you want your life to be, regardless of how anybody else feels about that. You've just got to ride it out, and if they don't like you, they're just gonna go. If they're willing to lose you over you wanting to be successful, you having an ambition, you being focused on something positive, then they were never really worth keeping in the first place. But I guess we're getting a little bit too deep considering this is technically still an intro. But what can we do? It's already said, and we're not doing any retakes. So I'm just going to have to put that one in my pipe and smoke it. But yeah, so that declined. I had sponsorships. I was making money off it. I was getting a big name across the whole UK and was able to network with some of the bigger artists out here. And I just lost it all. But I carried on rapping then for a few years until I was about 23, and I just lost the love for rapping myself. I had learned so much from doing the blog about marketing and how to work on the internet and how to get your stuff in front of people. It was around the time, about 23, when I stopped rapping. I had started to make beats recently too, so I just jumped straight into that. So music was always going to be a predominant thing in my life, the creation of music. It was just that my outlet changed from me being the rapper to being a producer instead. Now, within 3 weeks of making beats, I was already selling beats. I started selling beats right away. My marketing was on point from having the blog previously. I knew how to present myself. I knew how to work with people. I knew how to get people on side. So started selling beats really soon. Somewhat of a whiz kid. I just kind of came in the game, started making money, started making contacts, started gaining influence. By the third month, I was topping the newcomer charts on my Flash store, which is, I'm pretty sure, is the biggest marketplace for beats online. 3 times in the space of about, well, in the first 7 months, 3 times I was the top producer for the month out of all the newcomers. So that's one hell of an achievement. And it was crazy that I'd only really been selling beats for a couple of months, and then I had people who have been trying to sell beats for years hitting me up asking me for tips and advice. It was really humbling, but also a good sign of things to come. Because about maybe 9 months into making beats, I started up GetRichRapping.com. It was a chance for me to get back into my blogging, and this time around it's just completely amplified. If you're familiar with GetRichRapping.com, we're hitting so many people every day, and there's a lot of promo going on, and it's only growing, and it's really changing and helping lives. You can tell, well, I can tell when the messages come back from people. People don't send me generic messages after they deal with me. For the most part, they send me some stuff that push shivers down my spine, because it's so real. It's about how their lives have changed, how they're completely different way of thinking, how they really feel like they can do it, how I saved their life, and just literally any kind of deep positive message you can hear from someone because of GetRichRapping.com. I've heard that from people, and it kind of awakened me to a higher purpose. With the whole beats thing, when I first started, I was just about the money. I just thought, right, let me get my money up and do all this thing. But after the blog and after giving out all the advice and helping people, and basically everything I still do to this day, I realised that my purpose was bigger. I had more of a better feeling when I'd received one of those messages than I would when I just made $100 sale. So that really helped me amplify everything, because when I started focusing on getting that feeling and creating that feeling in the people I was dealing with and working for, that's when everything, just the flow of the universe just started working very heavily in my favor, because I was focusing on getting results for other people instead of trying to get money out of their pockets. The money would come, and still does come, automatically, simply because people know that they're going to achieve results if they work with me. And once you get to that point, all you're going to see is money, and you'll wonder why you were so focused on money in the first place, when you could have just focused on value. Done your research, got your experience in, made yourself worth that money, and then every time that you do something, you warrant that money, you warrant that price, because you're worth that price, instead of doing $10 worth of work for someone and trying to get $100 out of them. And you can't keep wondering at that point, why am I not making money off my craft? Why am I not making money marketing myself online, when your value and your price tag don't match? You should never be charging people more than what you're delivering, because even if you do make that sale, you're not going to get the recommendations after it. You're better off to make $100 and get 10 recommendations than you are to get $1,000 sale and no recommendations. Those 10 recommendations could be 10 completely different sales in themselves. So you just got to think. I'm a big believer in, as long as you had doing a damn good job, and you're marketing yourself right, and you're branding yourself every step of the way, you're going to make that money. And I think that if you're focusing on the money itself, you are going to be disappointed when you don't get a sale. I can't be disappointed if I have a cold week. If I only make a couple of hundred in a week as compared to what I'd usually make, then I'm still out there helping. I'm still achieving the same results regardless of how much I'm getting paid. So the money will find its way to me, and that's sorry, I'm feeling a bit hoarse today, but that's what I've noticed has become a habit now. If I have a quiet week, I'm still working, so it doesn't matter, because next week I'm going to get this week's money. But I don't want to get too into that. I hope you get the idea behind what I'm saying there, at least. 1 second. But yeah, I definitely want to talk about what marketing is, because a lot of people out there have no idea what marketing even is. You know, it's a word that gets thrown around, especially with music artists that have only until now thought, oh, you know, you make music, you post it on Facebook and you blow up if it's good. Otherwise everybody's hating, which seems to be what people genuinely believe, that they genuinely believe that people are hating on them, when it's just they haven't done anything to be loved, let alone hated. You know what I mean? But marketing is essentially just the creation of demand. It's what you do to put your brand in a certain light. So let's say marketing is a universal topic. It's nothing to do with money. It can be, but it's just, let's just talk about the basics. When you go to the club and you're trying to get someone to take home, you're marketing. When you're walking down the street, you're marketing. When you're basically going to a job interview, you're marketing. You're trying to put the best you in front of people in a way that they will receive well and want to find out what you have to offer. Now, the guy who goes in the club and runs up to a girl and says, "I'm the best guy in here. I've got the most money. I've got the most swag." Blah. She's gonna look at him and say, like, you know, "Get out of my face." You know. But then if you're the guy that goes in the club and you look fly, you don't have to tell anybody how you look. You go in there and everybody's head turns when you turn in, and then you, throughout the night, 10 people come up to you, they shake your hand, "Let me buy you a drink." That social value is on display for everybody. Now you're going to find that that girl that you want is going to find a way or an excuse to come and reach out to you. And that's basically what marketing is. You want to create that demand. You must be confident in your supply. Your supply must speak for itself. And then you let other people speak for you. Which is why you need to be building an audience and connecting with people and helping people and putting people on and building up that love between you and other people and helping them achieve those results, so they want to tell people about you. And when they want to tell people about you, they will tell people about you, but you cannot force yourself on people. Does that make sense? Because even just telling people check out my track is somewhat forcing yourself on a person. Like, you wouldn't walk down the street if you were listening to your track on headphones. You wouldn't walk down the road and just stop someone you don't know and say, "Yo, put this in your ear, listen to my track now." You know what I mean? Like, it's essentially the same thing. You want to be doing it in a way that gives you more value and intrigues them to want to come and check you out, and you don't want to feel like you're fighting an uphill battle the whole way and struggling to get people to listen, because you could be doing much more beneficial things to be listened to. For example, my beats, I don't sell my beats as a producer. What do you mean? You might ask. Well, what I mean is that I'm not out there being a producer trying to convince artists to buy my beats. I've got my blog, I've got my videos, I've got my Facebook page, I've got all these things where I'm giving value out, that they automatically, just through investigation of the things they're looking for and finding it with me, they just so happen to see that I sell beats as well, and that's where I'll get my beat sales from. So, you know, there's so many different ways. If you just build yourself up and get people to like you and to love you and want to see you do well, that's when you're going to get those fans. That's when you're going to get those followers. That's when you're going to get those supporters. Anything less than giving your all to everybody is just not going to be enough. You can't give people a little bit of love and expect a lot of love back, or no love and expect love from people. And even then, to go and call them a hater, I don't think you're living in the real world. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm looking to wrap this up. It's about 15 minutes in now. This is literally just a pilot podcast, just to give you a bit of direction, and just so you know that this is happening. This is going to be a regular thing. Every 2 weeks there's going to be a brand new podcast. I've had some offers from some pretty damn valuable I've had some offers for some pretty damn valuable people that want to be involved in this podcast. So I'm looking to get them in for question and answers, collaborations, ideas, going back and forth with some people that inspire me, that people who make my job possible to do. So that would be success stories from artists that I've worked with and producers that I've worked with that have either bought my products or bought my mentorship, or however they've dealt with me. Just I'll have them tell the story of where they've come from. So when they first met me and where they're at now after my help and sort of my influence on what they do. I think you'll hear some great stories. I think there'll be a lot of breakthroughs, especially when it's not me saying I do this, I do that. There'll just be a bunch of other people to tell you what working with me can do for you. So everybody have a great day. As always, if you're familiar, you know the saying, don't get mad, get motivated. Don't make hits, make history. You already know. 2 weeks from today, make sure you're locked in for the second podcast. Peace.